I'm Mark Meckler, and you're watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Mark, and I'm Randy Hansen. In world news headlines today, Arab League halts observer mission in Syria, and suit claims Silicon Valley anti-poaching scheme, and Justice sends more fast and furious documents to Congress. GVTV News would like to say the views expressed on our news broadcast do not necessarily reflect the views of NCTV Digital Media Center. Unlike some news media, anyone can use any information on our news any way you want, and guess what? It's free. You do not have to subscribe to us for your daily news. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story out of Beirut, the Arab League halted its observer mission in Syria on Saturday because of escalating violence that killed nearly 100 people in the past 3 days as pro-Assad forces battled dissident soldiers in a belt of suburbs on the eastern edge of Damascus. In the most intense fighting yet, so close to the capital, rising bloodshed has added urgency to new attempts by Arab and Western countries to find a resolution to the 10 months of violence, according to the United Nations, has killed at least 5,400 people as Assad seeks to crush persistent protests demanding an end of his rule. United Nations is holding talks and new resolutions on Syria, and next week we'll discuss an Arab peace plan aimed at ending the crisis. But the initiative faces two major obstacles: Damascus' rejection of the Arab peace plan, which says impinges on its sovereignty, and Russia's willingness to use its UN Security Council veto to protect Syria from sanctions. The Free Syrian Army force of anti-regime military defectors is based in Turkey, and its fighters frequently try to cross into Syria through the mountainous border area of the northwest. SANA reports that Syrian troops prevented gunmen from crossing in from Turkey on Saturday in fighting that is said to have left many infiltrators killed or wounded. The LCC and the Observatory also reported intense fighting between troops and defectors in the town of Rastan near the restive central city of Homs. The Observatory said that at least 36 people were killed across the country Saturday, including 17 civilians, 3 defectors, and 16 troops, while the LCC said 20 died, half of them in Homs province, and been one of the hardest hit government crackdown areas. New deaths come after 2 days of bloody turmoil killed at least 74 people, including small children. In the eastern oil-rich province of Deir el-Zor, an oil pipeline took a direct hit and caught fire as government troops shelled a nearby town. Two groups also said reported at least one person dead. State media blamed terrorists in the attacks. The month-old Arab League observer mission in Syria had come under widespread criticism, failing to bring a halt to the regime's crackdown. Gulf states led Saudi Arabia Tuesday asked the UN Security Council to intervene. Syria's state-run news agency quoted an unnamed official saying Damascus regrets and is surprised by the Arab League's decision after Syria agreed to extend the observation mission for another month. Officials said the halt aims to pressure the talks in order to call for external intervention in Syria's internal affairs, referring to the UN talks. UN Security Council began closed-door negotiations Friday on a new Arab-European draft resolution aimed at resolving the crisis, but Russia envoy said he could not back the current language as it stands. In a resolution faces strong opposition from China and Russia, and both nations have veto power. Russia's UN ambassador Vitaly Shurkin told reporters that the text introduced a new Arab Council of members, Morocco, red lines for Moscow. "We need to concentrate on establishing political dialogue," he said. doesn't seem to be doing much good. Out of San Jose, California, Silicon Valley's white-hot competition for tech talent, programmers can face a daily barrage of calls from recruiters seeking to woo them to rival companies with offers of better pay and perks. But workers for some of the biggest names in the business claimed their phones fell silent because of conspiracy among their employers. And they claimed the world's biggest tech icon was at the center. Lawsuit filed in federal court in San Jose claims senior executives at Google Inc., Intel Core, and Adobe Systems Inc., Intuit Inc., Lucasfilm, Pixar, and Apple Inc. violated antitrust laws by entering into secret anti-poaching agreements not to hire each other's best workers. In doing so, the suit contends the companies were able to keep wages artificially low by preventing bidder wars for the best employees. Plaintiffs also claim the company emails showed Steve Jobs himself sought and orchestrated at least some of the so-called gentleman agreements while Apple CEO. I believe we have a policy and no recruiting from Apple, then Google Chief Executive Eric Schmidt wrote in 2007 email cited by the plaintiffs. The email was originally furnished to the U.S. Justice Department, which investigates similar allegations in 2010. Same email included forwarded messages from Jobs complaining that Google recruited department was trying to lure away an Apple engineer. Can you get this stopped and let me know why this is happening? Schmidt wrote. Google Director of Staffing replied that the recruiter will be terminated within an hour. The company's attorneys said the fact, even as presented by the plaintiffs, showed no evidence of a conspiracy. Rather, they said in a court filings that some companies had separate one-to-one pacts among themselves as they worked together on various business ventures. The case hinges on a practice described in court documents as cold calling. Under the practice, recruiters from one company will call an employee at another company who has the skills the company needs. Practice can lead to bidding wars as workers play the companies off one another to get the highest pay. Cold calling, the suit contends, helps workers get a sense of what they're worth in the free market for employment in which all companies are competing against one another for top employees. When the cold calling stops, workers lose the knowledge. When it stops, they lose the knowledge and the leverage that they could otherwise use to demand higher pay. Justice Department's 2010 investigation concluded all the same companies except Lucasfilm, and the plaintiffs in some ways mimicked the language from the department's original case. Companies settled without admitting any wrongdoing but agreed not to enter the future agreements, preventing them from cold calling each other's employees to recruit them. Because the Justice Department case was settled quietly without any public dispute, court records contained little detail about any specific alleged agreements among companies. Some of these details did come to light, however, in a recent filing by the plaintiffs, which quotes emails they obtained from the companies that had previously been given to the Justice Department. In 2005, email describing a purported agreement between former Adobe CEO Bruce Chizen and his then counterpart at Apple, the Adobe Human Resource Executive. Bruce and Steve Jobs have an agreement that we are not to solicit any Apple employees and vice versa, according to court documents. In internal company communication, Intel CEO and Google board member Paul Otellini described the gentleman's agreement between the two companies, said, "Let me clarify, we have nothing signed. We have a handshake, no recruit," between himself and then Google CEO Schmidt. "I would not like this broadly known." Defense attorneys contend the emails are being distorted by the plaintiffs and show nothing beyond legitimate one-to-one agreements. Apple declined to comment. Intel disagrees with the alleged allegations contained in the private litigation related to the recruit practices and plans to conduct a vigorous defense, said Sumner Lemon, an Intel spokesperson. Adobe said the company does not comment on pending litigation. The other companies named in the suit did not immediately respond to requests seeking comment. Whatever side prevails, the case underscores the high-wage, talented tech workers can command in Silicon Valley, where the tech industry added thousands of jobs last year. According to the Federal Labor Statistics, mid-level tech workers in the region, such as computer security specialists, web developers, and network architects, earn more money than anywhere else in the country, with average annual salaries topping $110,000. Many of these workers could get thousands more if cases go their way, lead plaintiff attorney Joseph Saveri said. Given the potential tens of thousands of workers affected if the plaintiff succeeds in turning the suit into a class action case, Saveri said the combined damages for the companies could reach into the hundreds of millions of dollars if decided at trial. Such penalties would sink many companies, but Apple recently reported cash reserves of more than $97 billion. Google also has billions in cash on hand. One antitrust attorney not involved in the case doubts the companies have much to worry about anyway. Antitrust cases that revolve around hiring practices are difficult to win, said David Balto, a Washington, D.C.-based antitrust lawyer who investigated Microsoft as a staff attorney for the Federal Trade Commission in the 90s. Among the legal challenges they face is defining who exactly makes up the class of workers harmed by the alleged violation, since people with different jobs have different employment options. I don't think anybody at these companies is losing a nanosecond of sleep because of this lawsuit, Balto added. And out of Washington, a CNN story. The Justice Department on Friday night provided Congress with a new batch of Operation Fast and Furious documents from the early 2011. They showed top Justice Department official and Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco, Firearms and Explosive acting director suggested illegal purchased weapons be allowed to cross into Mexico, where Mexican officials would be waiting to arrest, prosecute, and convicted gun traffickers. Justice also sent a letter to Capitol Hill leaders providing details of the series of reforms made by the Justice Department and ATF to ensure there is no repeat of the controversial operation that allowed hundreds of illegal weapons to be sold in the United States and trafficked into Mexico. The intent of the operation was to monitor the flow of the weapons to their ultimate destination. The ATF plan was to track the weapons to Mexican drug cartels. However, hundreds of weapons were lost and unaccounted for. Justice documents included emails from the U.S. officials in the Mexican embassy, which showed that the meeting in 2011, U.S. Assistant Attorney General Laney Brewer suggested illegal weapons could be intercepted if the two nations worked together. Then acting ATF Chief Ken Melson made similar suggestions. Brewer suggested allowing straw purchasers across Mexico so Mexican federal police can arrest and Mexican Attorney General's office can prosecute and convict. The email author, a justice official stationed at the embassy, said he thought that the risky because Mexico might not seize the weapons and a crime could be committed. Justice officials were in Mexico City to coordinate with that nation's authorities after the death of the U.S. Border Patrol agent Brian Terry near the Mexican border. Two illegally purchased weapons which were lost in Mexico were discovered at the crime scene where Terry was slain. Controversy is the subject of a hearing set for next Thursday. Attorney General Eric Holder, the thief, is scheduled to testify before the House Investigation Committees chaired by Representative Darrell Issa, Republican from California. Holder is likely to stress the changes and reforms that have been made since the flawed operation occurred. In a letter to the key congressional leaders on Friday, Justice Department said ATF policy now says it may be necessary to interdict illegal weapons early to ensure the safety of the public. Justice Department also revealed that undercover operations have to be reviewed by an internal committee if they involve sensitive circumstances. Letter to Congress also says ATF agents are undergoing special training based on lessons of Fast and Furious. Yeah, sure. That's it for World News Today. Now, another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News.
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware.
That's right, it's time for the police blotter and pictures in the blotter, not from these actual events, but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Wednesday, 8:36 a.m. A man from 100 block of Lidster Avenue reported fraud. A person from Jamaica had called and told him he won a lottery, but needed to send money in advance. He said he sent $100,000 via Western Union. 9:17 a.m. a caller from 400 block of Idaho Maryland Drive reported graffiti. At 9:52 a.m. a woman from 1500 block of Redwood Drive reported a shed had been broken into Monday with meat, tools, and other items taken. 1:05 p.m. a caller from Elizabeth Daniels Park reported 4 men smoking marijuana. A juvenile was cited in suspicion of violating probation. 4:42 p.m. a caller from Business 200 block of West Main Street reported people jumping over balconies into other rooms, yelling at cars, and causing a scene. A man was cited on suspicion of trespass with forced entry. And 8:56 p.m. caller from 300 block of West Main Street reported 2 people in wheelchairs were assaulting each other. They might be drunk and were elderly. It was found to be verbal only. 9:01 p.m. caller from 900 block of Sutton Way reported people possibly trying to steal copper wiring. They were gone when officers arrived. No theft was found to have occurred. And Thursday, 2:02 a.m., 2 men were arrested after a probation search at the 400 block of Carroll Drive. 2 possibly stolen computers were recovered. 1 man was arrested on suspicion of possession of a controlled substance. The 2nd man was arrested on suspicion of possession of a controlled substance, committing a felony while on bail, and possession of drug paraphernalia, and receiving stolen property. 3:10 a.m. a caller from 2300 block of Nevada City Highway reported a broken window. Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Wednesday, 9:27 a.m. a caller from 20,000 block of You Bet Road reported a drunken person crashed their vehicle. 10:26 a.m. caller from 12,000 block of Martin Way reported theft of a camera equipment and wind chimes in December. And 11:01 a.m. a caller from Sadie D Drive reported someone shot a hole in the front window of a residence last night. 11:53 a.m. caller from 12,000 block of Gale Lane reported a woman taking pictures and trying to open windows. It was a process server. And 12:47 p.m. caller from 16,000 block of Badger Hill Road reported theft of a propane tank, washer, dryer, and personal property. And 3:36 p.m. people at East Bennett Road were admonished for riding dirt bikes. And 5:02 p.m. a man from 11,000 block of Spenceville Road reported a man in a Florida Explorer just drove through his fences and his pastures, then through his neighbor's fences. 2nd caller from Spenceville and Oak Meadows Road reported at 5:17 p.m. that a man was parked on an intersection, was unresponsive. CSP officers responded. Initially, the man refused to exit the vehicle, did so after K9 unit was brought in. He was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence of possessing drug paraphernalia and hit and run, causing property damage. 5:19 p.m. a caller from 10,000 block of Comby Drive reported a dog had been thrown from a moving vehicle. It was taken to a vet. And 7:01 p.m. a caller from Red Dog Road reported a person camping in a cemetery who was gone when deputies arrived. And Thursday, 1:07 a.m. a caller from 13,000 block of Glen Pines Road reported thumping on a house. Nothing unusual was located. Nevada City Police Department on Wednesday, 8:07 a.m. a person in 200 block of Prospect Street was admonished for sleeping on the sidewalk. And 5 p.m. call from 900 block on Maidu Avenue reported an attempted assault. People tried to stab a victim with a pen. A person tried to stab somebody. A suspect was arrested on suspicion of assault. 7:34 p.m. a call from Broad Street reported transient harassing employees. A man was arrested on suspicion of trespassing. And 10:35 p.m. a caller from emergency room reported being assaulted in the 300 block of Broad Street. That's it for the blotter today. Now another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News.
Soundcheck Music Center, the rock and roll connection. We have guitars, amps, drum equipment, sound accessories, lessons, and repairs. We are located at 671 Maltman Drive, Grass Valley. 530-272-7236, open 7 days a week.
In today's local news headlines, pot growers sentenced to probation, and 2 resign from Apple Board of Directors, and Tribute Trail offers near-town getaway access to Deer Creek watershed. In a story written by Liz Keller of the Union, 2 Pennsylvania men arrested in connection with a marijuana growing operation in Quail Creek Road were each sentenced to 3 years probation Thursday. Franklin Nicholas DeSantis, 21, and Mark Kranak, 21, and Arlo Menapace, 23, were arrested September 20th after Nevada County Sheriff's deputies raided their marijuana growing operation. During the search, deputies allegedly found 32 marijuana plants in an outside garden, as well as more than $40,000 and 15 pounds of marijuana bud. They also allegedly discovered several rooms inside the residence used for cultivation. DeSantis and Kranek allegedly had medical marijuana recommendations from Dr. Marlon Hopkins, which stated the patient may grow 99 mature plants and possess 19 pounds of processed cannabis for their yearly medical records, according to the task force spokesman. But Nevada County guidelines for medical marijuana state that patients can only have up to 6 mature plants or up to 75 square feet of vegetative canopy growing at any given time, should not possess more than 2 pounds of any one time. DeSantis and Kranek, and principal investors, according to Phillips, pleaded no contest to being an accessory to felony and felony criminal conspiracy, respectively. DeSantis was sentenced to Nevada County Superior Court to 60 days in jail and 2 days credit. His sentence was suspended. He was given 3 years probation. He will be allowed to use medical marijuana, but was cautioned that he must stay within the county guidelines. Judge Thomas Anderson agreed not to impose community service over and above the plea agreement, but gave DeSantis a cautionary notice to not violate his probation terms, telling him, "You're on a short leash." Kranek also received a 60-day sentence that was suspended and 3 years probation. He's not allowed to use marijuana. Menapace earlier had pleaded no contest to a misdemeanor charge in conspiracy to maintain a place for sale of marijuana and was sentenced to 60 days. His sentence also was suspended with 3 years probation. In a story by Christopher Rosacker of the Union, 2 members resigned from the Alliance of the Post-Petroleum Local Economies, or APPLE, Board of Directors at its Thursday night meeting 2 weeks after the Nevada City nonprofit announced it would close its headquarters on Commercial Street. Local nurse Erin Hentz stepped down, citing desire to focus on local health care issues, Board President Josh Lichterman said. Lichterman said, "We part amicably. We're sorry to see her go." Jennifer Barrett also stepped down because she's moving to Montana. Lichterman also said Nevada City Councilwoman Renette Sinham submitted at least 8 resumes and letters of intent from prospective candidates for board membership. "We've been looking for board members for 4 years, and they aren't easy to come by," Lichterman said. "I've been saying all along that we'd like to have 12 people on the board." To achieve this vision, Apple works to facilitate reduced dependence on fossil fuels and to promote more self-reliant local economy in Nevada County. Sinham reportedly discussed her proposals to keep the Center of Sustainable Living on Commercial Street open and staffing with volunteers. The board gave Sinham, who is an Apple co-founder, until February 20th to formally present her proposal as an articulated business plan. The plan must be able to provide $1,500 per month to cover expenses, save some money, and cover the reduced $500 a month rent on a city-owned building housing Apple's center. Otherwise, it's not going to happen, Lichterman said. "We're not going to nickel and dime it." An estimated 20 people attended the meeting Thursday at Briar Patch Co-op on Sierra College Drive in Grass Valley. In light of the elimination of executive director position due to funding shortfalls, the board also discussed who would cover outgoing executive director Molly Dick's duties, such as handling finances, bulletins and flyers, and communications and updates on the website applecenter.org. "I believe that Apple as an organization is healthy," Lichterman said. "I think we're going through a difficult transition, but I think we'll get more board members and on we will go." Good program. In a story by Laura Brown, as soon as the late January storms let up and weather broke clear and cold, walkers and runners and bicyclists were out in force again in early hours of the morning in Nevada City's popular Tribute Trail. For those who live in the city limits, the trail offers a calmed, forested access route to Deer Creek and just a short walk from the buzz of downtown. Just a few years ago, only a scattering handful of locals knew where to go to get to the boulder-strewn creek, resembling a miniature version of the Yuba with roaring white water and some pools deep enough to swim in. Created for the funding from the California Natural Resource Agency and the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, the Tribute Trail is a project that has brought together an exhaustive number of community partners, including Sierra Streams Institute, formerly Friends of Deer Creek, American Rivers, the Sierra Fund, Bear Yuba Land Trust, formerly Nevada County Land Trust, Nevada County, Nevada City, the Nisenan Tribe, the Che-Akam Mardu Tribe, Bureau of Land Management, Greater Champion Neighborhood Association, Chinese Quarter Society, and Save Our Historic Canals. While coordinating all the pieces of such an effort through so many players is a challenge, the payoff is worth it, said Joan Hild, director of the Sierra Streams Institute. For their efforts, those who have helped create the trail will receive an award from the Nevada City Chamber of Commerce on Saturday. So far, more than 5 miles of the trail are completed on the northern side. Then the project finishes, hikers will have an access to a 9-mile looped trail offering access to both sides of the creek, possibly offering a pedestrian-friendly link from Old Town Nevada City to the Seven Hills Business District. We're using the trail a lot now because of our larger education program, Hild said, on the hands-on science enriching curriculum courses offered at Sierra Streams Institute for homeschool and charter school students. Plans are the works for expand the program and in future years to include public schools as well. Besides the outdoor classrooms along the trail, Sierra Streams Institute's new location on Urin Street includes an indoor lab classroom. Children are not the only ones who can benefit from the educational opportunities of the trail. As its name applies, the trail pays tribute to the often overlooked people who walked there before, the Native Americans and the Chinese miners. It also tells the story of human impacts on the land and how conscious restoration efforts can help put an ecosystem back in balance. Far from the pristine wilderness trail, part of the path's network is made up of dusty roads and visible eyesores like power lines and wastewater treatment plants. From Champion Road, the trail travels through dense mixed coniferous forest, then opens up and the trail follows the NID maintenance road. For those who know how to look through the history and the culture abound, look for old mining relics such as moss-covered stone walls and wooden flumes. Interpretive signs dot the trail, giving insight into the history of this place, once home to mines like Champion, Providence, and Stiles, further up the creek near Pine Street Bridge. Sierra Streams Institute is working with the local Nisenan to create 5 more interpretive signs that will give glimpses of the Native American way of life before the gold rush. We're going to tell their stories through their people and their words. We're really excited about that. With the recent rain, the sound of waterfall filled the air and the storm runoff crashed over boulders in Deer Creek, plunged down the steep embankments in the tributaries and ran swift and cold in the canals. Winter leafless branches and tired dry grasses. Well, anyway, a lot of stuff there. Be respectful and no trespassing signs, and stay on the path while passing private property. A number of benches along the trail allow for rest in view of the creek canyon. Another pedestrian bridge is planned in the future closer to Nevada City near the city's wastewater treatment plant. It will connect both sides of the trail. That should be cool when it's done. And that's it for local news today. Now we'd like to thank
Old World Deli and Catering Company has brought its delicious food
Associated
and
Press and
service
others for the social
downtown
news,
Grass
and
Valley.
you for watching. You can watch us and broadcast on Comcast Cable.
You like desserts? They got them. You like international style lunches? They got them. Christopher's Deli and Catering for party.